Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Adam Bergman's Money Makers. Although I know a lot of people are feeling that nobody's making any money at all and everything is red like my shirt. But that's okay. Guys, again, yes, everyone's losing money. None of this is financial advice. Everything is purely entertainment and educational purposes only. Palantir is in the dumps. The entire stock market is in the dumps. And the only thing you can do is either sell, steady, or buy the dip. Today was the Palantir earnings call. I want to play you this video. This is from my live that I did earlier today. The first part is going to be Alex Karp's interview. Alex Karp speaking. Pay attention to how much resolve he has. Pay attention to how he's speaking. And pay attention how much absolute passion he has as he's speaking. The second part is my response to the future growth of where I think Palantir is going and how they can multiply 10x in the future, because I had a troll that was asking me, how is that even possible? So I break it down. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me the like, shares, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
But what makes these times special is the trends that we believed would happen are happening at an accelerating rate. And what's super interesting is, why is the broader world so late in recognizing how these things are accelerating, what's happening? What is the genesis of the escapism that our broader institutions, financial, cultural, legal, technical, why are they escaping to the metaverse or faculty lounge jargon, or political structures that are clearly not solving problems, where inputs and outputs are totally anti, if at all, correlated? Why is it that we are unable to see the violence that is occurring as truly something that it will be part of our ongoing future and not as episodic? Why do we describe these things as uncertainty when they are certain and are happening? Why is it that our institutions are not even pretending that they will be able to hold the center, while simultaneously pretending the center will coagulate to a center independent of new structures, new ways of doing things, of new products, new institutions, new ideas? Part of that is we have theological structures around how we build, for example, in our space, products, and that theology presupposes that the world will be stable. So specialized things we build for both commercial and for example, special forces, things that are powering current events now were built over the last 2 decades precisely because if you are in the periphery doing the most sensitive, important work in the world, as you need to be able to interact with your software in a way where it's disconnected and then reconnects. Simple problem, normal software sucks at it. You need a very specialized product. We've been supplying this to the world's most important elite soldiers for nearly a decade under the context of what we call nexus peering. You need an ability to interact with space where you solve certain problems involving compute and involving the reduction of data using colloquially defined AI tuned by Foundry, getting that to the soldier. You need to be able to, in the context of commercial entities, rebuild the supply chain because there's war. There's obviously going to be food shortages. There's disruptions. You can no longer get certain resources from countries. You have to get them from others overnight. The systems literally presuppose that will never happen, and therefore fall completely apart when it does happen. There is no plan for when it doesn't happen. This is why, even though we've been a completely focused product company that is only focused on building these products, and we have new products coming and not as focused on actually convincing people that we're right, they still sell. And because the other products are not built for this world. You have a financial context, just like we have raging inflation. We are very likely to see this war increase. The risk of a nuclear event is so much higher than is being presented in the public world that it's almost surreal to watch the coverage. And yet, there's really no idea of what you would do with evaluating the quality of revenue. So that, Palantir, for example, we are a company to thrive in good times, and we thrive in bad times. We are not built in the way the theologians of our financial institutions would love us to be built, so that you're built, exactly like if we had listened to them, we would only be growth and no free cash flow. We're a company that throws off free cash flow. We're a company that expected inflation. We're obviously super committed to the mission, but was obvious to us, even at inception in bad times, the quality of government revenues would be crucial because other revenues would suffer from inflation. They would have a lower quality. They'd be less sticky. We built these products for the right reasons, and we're not ashamed to say that we're winning maybe because we were right. We didn't want to be right, but some of this stuff was so obvious. It was obvious that these institutions, the theology of how we model these things in every context is just corrosive. So you end up with the wrong products, the wrong quality of revenue. So you have growth without free cash flow, or free cash flow without growth. You have products that work now that can be hyped up with sales, but clearly are not going to work the day after tomorrow. No ability to build new products. Why would you build new products? You're going to have this perfectly tinkered model, get the institutions to invest in you and acquire all these companies that actually build products. Yeah, but it's nearly impossible to build products for tomorrow. There aren't companies to acquire. You actually have to do it yourself. Sure, here and there you can look for things to accelerate. Palantir has done that. So we at Palantir are not fleeing to a different world, whether it's the meta world or a theological world or a financial version of theological world, or a grad school version of the theological world, which isn't even actually academic, because academic presupposes interacting with the object from a theoretical perspective differentiated from the object, not importing a theological preconceived version of an object onto the theory and re-importing that onto the object. Products don't work like that. Reality doesn't work like that. Palantir, we are playing a critical, crucial, and much bigger role than we're allowed to mention or would ever discuss in public in current events. Obviously commercially, because our partners and other future partners are being disrupted, their supply chains are disrupted, there's a threat of a disruption in the broader economy, and many realize that the reality of a truly monumental, epic, and horrific disruption in the form of a nuclear attack is much higher than is being reported. But also in the government context, where we are playing an outsized role, and we're very proud of that, and we're proud of the people we're able to support, and we're also eager to continue to help to support them. Must also say the people who've watching this, many of whom share our belief that the future is to be won by people who accept the reality of what it is and not what it ought to be, that you can only change the ought by accepting what is, that you've stuck with us and I hope will stick with us. And we are going to continue supplying the world's most important products to the most interesting, creative, and effectual people in the world, and continue to thrive as this hybrid company that is both bull and bear and comes into full stride in both environments, but in absolutely anomalous stride when times are rough and people are hiding. Palantir's products are on the absolute front line, and you see them in the news every day. And we would love someday to discuss exactly what we're doing, but we are playing a good role, and your support and buying into the world as it is enormously important to us. Thank you.
I'm gonna answer anything anybody wants. I got a lot of information from this, I'll be honest with you. A lot of information from this. And look, just stick with me. I said it before Alex Karp said it, right? Alex Karp came out with a letter. The letter basically said that things are not all rainbows and unicorns. This is a bad place. He mentioned that he's going to be getting into the geopolitical uncertainty of Europe. Let's talk about what we know. We know that Germany is going to spend 100 billion euro in increasing their military force. Not only physical force, but a lot of the money in Europe and Germany is going to go to data upgrades for the military. We know that Germany is going to increase from 1.5 GDP to 2% GDP, NATO contribution. We know Spain is going to increase their GDP NATO contribution to 2% over time. We know that Palantir is helping with the refugee crisis of helping people cross from Ukraine into, I believe, Lithuania and other places, but definitely at least Lithuania. I made a video about that. We know Palantir is having an office in Spain. We know Palantir has an office in Germany. We know that Palantir currently has 250 employees in UK, but they're going to increase their employees to 600 in UK. That's what we know. Now, this guy comes out and says something very, very important. But before we do that, I always said that we're going to get huge geopolitical uncertainty, the funneling coming in when? Q3, Q4 of this year, and Q1 of 2023. I said this all the time. I know I'm a small channel. I know a lot of people. Remember, I'm a small channel that probably has more Palantir shares than all the bigger channels. So it's not always about the size of the channel. And I'm coming from a crypto channel that has a lot more subs. But I called it, right? I said this. And if you've been listening to my channel, listen to what this guy says. We have a base upside of 30%. But we have a huge, large upside. And he basically says, we will not leave you stranded during wartime because of paperwork. Our goal is to deliver details now. Our goal is to deliver services now, and we'll worry about the details later. He then also mentioned Q3, Q4 of this year, year over year, and Q1 of 2023, guys. There's a huge upside and potential to Palantir, especially at these prices. $8, super cheap. Now, none of this is financial advice. Everything is purely entertainment and educational purposes only. But you can see how visibly frustrated Alex Karp is. You could see what they always say. Palantir is not just for the good times, they are also for the bad times. However, Palantir does prosper from geopolitical uncertainty. The problem is, when you're at war, when you're dealing with getting gas, when you're dealing with getting weapons, when you're dealing with national security, when you're dealing with borders that you don't have borders, it's hard to sign paperwork. It's hard to get money. But just think about it. Ukraine is going to get $33 billion from America right now. A lot of that money is going to be used for defense, not just current defense, but future defense. Where do you think this money is going to funnel into? Obviously, some of that money is going to go to Palantir, especially if Palantir is helping the people get out of Ukraine, if Palantir is helping with logistics. Probably a lot of the logistics that's happening in Ukraine, this is purely speculation for like the Javelin missiles, the Stinger missiles, things like that, is coming from Palantir. Palantir has satellites and it's showing where everything is moving, and they're trying to give logistical information. Remember, Palantir uses something called Edge AI. Think about cloud without the need for cloud. So how does cloud work? You have a central entity, you take information or data, you send it to the cloud, and from the cloud it goes to the next source, right? But you need the cloud. With Edge AI, it's decentralized. You don't rely on a cloud. And the information is nearly instantaneous, one point to another, but you don't need a central entity. That's the strength of Palantir. A lot of people said, the guy, I don't know if he was trolling or not, says, Adam, how do you figure that Palantir is going to grow 10x with $400 million in revenue? I can explain that. I foresee a huge amount of money coming in, a huge influx that none of us are realizing from this geopolitical uncertainty, because I believe Europe is going to move together. Kind of like what happened after World War II and they rebuilt Europe. To a lesser degree, a lesser extent, that's what's going to be happening in Europe after this. Palantir Apollo. Palantir Apollo is going to decentralize the space on a centralized network. For all my crypto heads, let's try to explain this. So we were doing a live with Amit, we were doing a live with CodeStrap, and it hit me. I don't know if you guys saw the video when I'm like, psh. So some people are like, oh, Adam's trying to understand. No, I understand. I just didn't catch that point until CodeStrap explained it, and then I realized it, and it made perfect sense in my mind. Right now, a lot of people are using different types of cloud software. Again, you take information, you put it into the cloud, and then after a while, it gets distributed. The problem is you need to rely on those clouds. So if something goes down with that cloud, you kind of effed. With Palantir Edge, it allows you not to rely on a cloud. It also is going to allow a lot of people a lot of companies to be able to communicate and not be forced to use one central server, not be forced to be tied down to one cloud service. The whole point of Edge, you got to understand, Edge AI is to give a real-time data as you need it and process it preemptively thinking what you need the information for before you actually get the information. It doesn't give you raw data. Palantir gives you processed AI data analytics, preemptive processed data, from raw data to premium reactive data. If they can grow their government contracts as per the geopolitical situation right now, and if they can grow this Edge AI and really put everybody's data on a decentralized network, that's how they get to 10x, 20x, 30x, 40x, so on and so forth.